Hello, my friends. It's your buddy Phil, project management trainer and coach. You've already been through part one, so you know how it goes. Level one was the basics. This is going to level two now, project management basic process reasoning. It's an exam that will take roughly 15 to 20 minutes. Put time aside and let's jump in. The very first area is integration. Frank is a project lead working on an account management software project in the final hours. The team is currently sharing knowledge and lessons learned about the entire project. What should happen next? If you need more time, hit the pause button. This will move very quickly. Let's examine the answer. So, it says, the team is currently sharing knowledge and lessons learned about the entire project. So, what could happen next is not going to be project charters developed or a project management plan. Neither is it going to be work performance reports being created. Those things have already been done. You are in closing. Says the project is in the final hours. That's code for closing. So when you come across exam questions that put things a little bit differently, a little bit colorfully, you got to think about what they're saying. So the answer to this is consider factors that contributed to the result. This is really talking about the analysis that you do at the end. It's called a regression. Analysis. And that's what C describes. And therefore, it is the best option. Let's move on to the next. Jackson is an engineer on a construction project. His team is now in the process of developing a roadmap for how the project should be executed. What should happen next? Hit the pause button for more time. Let's take a look at the answer. So, B, C, and D are not the best answers. B is talking about initiating. That's already been done. But it's talking about a risk assessment. Now, a risk assessment has not been done. But because it bunches initiating and risk assessment together, it is not the best option because initiating has been done. Also, the needs assessment is meant to have been done before the project charter. And a quality assessment, because it says his team is now in the process of developing a roadmap for how the project should be executed, that is really code for some sort of planning. Because it's saying how the project should be executed, that is really alluding to planning. So you got to be able to narrow down all that is said to the one thing that is being done. So in the question, a project plan of sorts is being developed. You wouldn't do a needs assessment and you wouldn't do initiating. A quality assessment alludes to something that could happen, but it is uncertain what exactly that means. The best option that is all-encompassing, including anything that's to be done in executing, is direct and manage the project work. So the best answer is A. Let's go to scope. You are a project lead on a medium-sized project. Your team is in the process of planning how scope would be managed. What should the team be working on next? All right, let's take a look at the answers. So it says in the process of planning, so you are planning scope management. You wouldn't immediately jump to create a risk register. That would be premature based on the options you have. You wouldn't identify all that needs to be done to meet the requirements just yet. And you wouldn't create a visual hierarchy of work just yet, which is really describing another process in scope. The best answer here is collect requirements from stakeholders. Okay, let's move on to the next one. You are the project facilitator of a medium-sized engineering project. In the first iteration, your team is currently developing a visual hierarchical breakdown of project work. What should the team be working on next? Let's go straight to the answer. Hit the pause button if you need more time. So this is describing a WBS. So a WBS is being developed. What should happen next? Now, creating a risk register is not a bad thing. But let's take a look at the other options. B says collecting requirements. That's already been done. C says identifying all that needs to be done. That's defined scope. So it's not that. The most logical thing to do next before creating a risk register is to decompose the work packages and create a list of tasks. That is what comes next. Moving on to schedule. Jonah is a product owner with 5 project managers reporting to him. One of the project managers has just reported a missed deadline. What should Jonah advise the project manager to do? Okay, so taking a look at the options here, there's some that are not bad things to do, but they've already been done. So estimate the cost for the project. That's already been done. Reschedule the entire project. Now that's a big statement. Rescheduling the entire project is quite a task. For missing a deadline, it's a bit far-fetched. For that reason, it's got to go. The other two, monitor schedule performance and prevent delays. So you've missed a deadline. It would make sense to monitor the schedule, right, and prevent further delays. D says create an activity list to drive all uncompleted work, or do drive all uncompleted work. Whatever the case, that is not a good option. The best option is C, that says monitor schedule performance and prevent delays. That's the best thing. Let's move on to the next question. You're working on a healthcare project as a team lead with a group of professionals. The team is currently arranging project activities in the order of occurrence. What should the team be working on next? Give it some time. Okay. Let's take a look at the answer now. So, if you're sequencing the activities, should you be creating an assessment of needs with the team? No, that's already been done. That's a needs assessment. B says collecting activity requirements from stakeholders. It's roundabout, but it still should have been done, right? Because now you're arranging activities in order of occurrence. Anything to do with requirements has been done, but there's no such thing as collecting activity requirements. But even if there was, it would have been done because collecting requirements have already been done. Plan how to conduct procurements for all the tasks. Well, what does this have to do with procurements? So that will have to go. So the best answer is to decide on resource quantity and type. This happens in resource management. And yes, I know we're in schedule management, but the other things have either been done or don't make sense. So the best option is decide on resource quantity and type. So when you sequence activities, before you estimate activity durations, you should think about the resource quantity and type. And that's why that's the best answer. Moving on to cost. Bob has just been hired as the new project team lead for a highway build. The team is in the process of computing earned value for the current iteration to present it to senior management. What should Bob have done before this step? Give you some time to think about it. All right. So, earned value. Where do we talk about earned value? In control cost. So, what should Bob have done before control cost? Add up all task costs to a total budget. Definitely option C. Estimate the task cost. Definitely. Planned cost management. Definitely. The answer? All of the above. All of the above should have been done before this step. Before you get to computing earned value for the current iteration, yeah, you should have done all those things. Moving on, Hassan is a team facilitator for a software implementation project. The team is working collaboratively using a hybrid approach. The team is currently calculating the schedule performance index. What should Hassan do next? Okay, so what Hassan should do next has to be something that Hassan hasn't already done. So plan how to manage cost is not it. Define project activities has been done. Add up all the task costs to a final total budget has been done. The best answer is going to be create a work performance report. Because remember, work performance data becomes work performance information, and that becomes a work performance report. Okay, let's move on. Quality. Humphrey is the account manager for a large client. His boss authorized the project to develop a new healthcare product. Everything went well until during quality control, a system failed and the system crashed. This system contained live data. The team is currently working on updating the issue log to include a list of poorly tested modules. What should Humphrey do next? Think about it. Hit the pause button for more time. I will reveal the answer. Okay, so it wouldn't be A. A system test has already been carried out. B. Perform integrated change control and approve a bug. That doesn't make sense. You don't approve a bug. A bug happens. It's not something you approve. C. Enlist help to fix the system. Well, that's the problem. The system's broken, right? What about D? Control quality. Well, this is what we're doing now. It says everything went well until during control quality control, right there. So it wouldn't be this. This is what we are doing now. So it wouldn't be what you do next. The best option is enlist help to fix the system. Let's move on. Kennedy is the project manager on a healthcare implementation project for Atlas. The team is currently in the process of inspecting the deliverable to verify compliance with requirements. What should the team do next? I'll give you some time to think about it. All right, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. So, what does it say? The team is currently in the process of inspecting the deliverable to verify compliance. So this is control quality. So there's things you would have already done. You wouldn't plan how to manage quality. That's been done, right? You wouldn't be checking the process as work progresses because that's managed quality that's already been done. That wouldn't be what you do next. That's what you've already done. C, contact the customer to inspect the deliverable. It's not a bad one. Let's keep in the back pocket. Go to D, audit and investigate poor process causes. It says the team is currently in the process of inspecting the deliverable to verify compliance with requirements. So the next thing that should happen, generally speaking, if everything goes as proposed, is to contact the customer. It's not to audit, because the audit has already been done, QA. That should already have been done. And that's not to say there couldn't be feedback loops, but the fact that it mentions an audit is backwards. So the thing that moves it forward is to contact the customer to inspect the deliverable. Now, if it said the deliverable has been found to be poor and it's not good, and then it said investigate poor process causes, that could be plausible. But the audit should have already been done. That word audit, that's what gives it away. Let's move on. You are the project manager working on an airport traffic system implementation project. The team just completed a review with the customer for the final deliverable. The outcome was positive and the customer is very happy. What should happen next? Okay, let's give it a bit of time. All right, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take a look. So again, you got to put on your process of elimination hat. It says the customer is very happy. So what should happen here is not to modify the project records. It's not to consult with the change control board. There's no need to do that. And doing quality control checks to ensure readiness should have already been done. We've moved forward from there, and the best thing to do is to transition the deliverable to the customer because the customer's accepted it clearly. Moving on, Horace is the product owner for a large client. His boss authorized the project to develop a new healthcare product. Everything went well until during quality control, a system test failed and the system crashed. This system contained live data. The team is currently working on updating the issue log to include a list of poorly tested modules. What should Horace do next? Okay. This question should be very familiar. So, without much ado, last time we saw it, it wasn't A, it wasn't B, and it wasn't D. It is C, enlist help. Reason why it's not control quality is you are in control quality already. Okay? Let's move on to resources. Jillian is a scrum master working with a hybrid project with a team. She's investigating the proper use of physical resources on the project. What should most likely come before this step? Give it some time. All right. 3, 2, and 1. Okay. So if she's investigating the proper use of physical resources, that's control resources. So what do you do after control resources or before control resources? What do you do before? Do you do project closure and transition? No, that comes after. Do you do customer final acceptance? No, that comes after. Do you do contract closure? Likely that comes after. So in the context of this, the best one is team building and development, which is really develop team. Okay? Moving on to communications. You're working as the team facilitator on a large size integration project. The team is currently involved in distributing needed information. Let's do that again because you're not seeing it. I apologize. You're working as a team facilitator on a large size integration project. The team is currently involved in distributing needed information through hard copy while conducting meetings. What should the project manager do next? Hit the pause button for more time. Let's go to the answer straight away. So this describes the process known as managed communications. That's where you're distributing information. So what you should do next is not going to be planning communications all over again, and it's not going to be estimating task costs, because that has nothing to do with this. That stuff has been done in planning. This is executing. You're also not going to be adding up task costs to a total budget. So the best option, the best answer is monitor how well the plan for communication or communicating is working. That's monitor communication. So if you are in managed communications, to go into question, next thing is monitor. Let's go into risk. Jack is the project manager at a startup company. They have just acquired a smaller business and working on several projects. The team has completed the process of analyzing the risks qualitatively. What should the team do next? All right, so hit the pause button for more time. Let me reveal the answer. So this says qualitatively, right? So we're talking about perform qualitative risk analysis. That's the process this describes. So if the process is analyzing risks qualitatively, what you should do next is not going to be C, because that's already done in qualitative risk analysis. And it's not A, because that has already been done in perform qualitative risk analysis. Now D, plan how to respond to the risk, is premature. That happens after you carry out quantitative risk analysis. So the best answer by logic is find the aggregate impact of the risks, the aggregate effect of risks on a project. And that's quantitative risk analysis. Okay, let's move on. Jenny is the product owner on a hybrid project at a startup company. Now, I want to point your attention to the way some of these questions are set up. They're set up with distractors right off the bat. So on your exam, don't be surprised when you see a mixing of Agile, hybrid, predictive language. It could throw you off. But stay focused. Jenny is a product owner on a hybrid project at a startup company. They have just acquired a smaller business and working on several projects. The team has completed the process of analyzing the risks qualitatively. What should the team do next? Okay, you're not seeing double. This is a check. It won't be C. It won't be A. This is exactly the same thing done in qualitative. So this question is really making sure you know that in qualitative, you're doing a categorization and a scoring. You are not doing a scoring in quantitative. In quantitative, you're not planning how to respond to risks. You're finding the aggregate effect of the risks. Okay, let's move on. Next question. Sherry has just been hired as the new project manager for a new build. The team is in the process of computing the earned value for the current iteration to present it to senior management. What should Sherry have done before this step? If you need more time, hit that pause button. All right. 3, 2, and 1. Now let's move on here. Using the process of elimination. What should she have done before this step? She shouldn't have closed the project. Estimating the cost of the product life cycle, the entire cycle of life of the product? Probably not. That's something that a product manager, product owner may be more interested in. So we're going to cancel that. C says ensure liability costs and warranty costs are set aside for project contingencies. You don't set aside those costs for project contingencies. Those are liabilities and warranty costs, and they're different from contingencies. Contingencies are different. So that's a bit of a bogus statement. So the best answer is, what should they have done before this step? Determine the project budget. When you determine the budget, you'll know what to use to calculate earned value. All right, these are taking a little bit longer because they're longer than the first set. You are the project lead on a large-scale construction endeavor. The team is in the process of building a walkway when a risk emerges. Right now, it is not safe for the team to work on site. What should you do next? All right. Let's take a look at the answer. So, risk emerges. It's not safe. Let's go from the bottom. Should you jump into meeting facilitation? No. How does that make sense? Should you jump into risk evaluation and impact? You will do that at some point, but it's not the first thing you want to do. Right now, it's not safe for the team to work. So hiring an outside team doesn't make sense either because it's not safe. The answer is A, evacuate the team. Next question. Julia is the team lead on a project that has been authorized to provide virus detection devices to a health agency. The team is currently mitigating a huge risk, with each team member carrying out a joint response strategy and actions to prevent it from getting worse. What should Julia do next? All right. So, team is mitigating. That tells you it's a risk response, and implement risk responses. So the bottom line is Julia should do something she hasn't already done. She's already planned, so A is out of the question. She's already identified risks. That's out of the question. Then we have analyze the risk qualitatively, which is perform qualitative risk analysis. It's not that either. So the only option that makes sense is update the risk register. And that's what we do all throughout the processes. Once we have identified the risks and we've got the risk register, this is what we do. Let's move on to procurement. For those of you who are not aware of my cheat sheet that I based a lot of these questions on, I want you to go on down to the link that I'm going to share. The link will take you to this site, grab the cheat sheet, and it will help you to begin to craft short sentences and ideas of these processes so that you can master them effectively. Let's get into procurement. Richard is the product owner on a hybrid project to implement software. The team is currently selecting a seller. What should Richard do next? All right, let's take a look at the answer. So what should he do next? Let's take a look at option D. It says the team is currently selecting a seller. So they've already created an RFQ if there was going to be one, and they shared that with the seller. Okay. They would have already identified stakeholders. That would have come in initiating. This is in executing. You got to remember that When you are selecting a seller, that's conduct procurement. So B has been done. A, decide whether to make or buy whatever is needed for the project. That's already been done in plan procurement management. So the best option is monitor and manage the contract. It's that simple. Moving on to stakeholder. Henrietta has been promoted to the director of the PMO. She manages various teams, and one of the teams has just failed a stakeholder engagement survey. What should she ask the project manager to do? I'll let you think about it for a bit. All right, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take a look. So, if a team failed a stakeholder engagement survey, you don't bury your head in the sand and you don't rely on dumb luck to come through. So A, hope the stakeholder comes around in support of her is wrong. We won't do that. B, send an email demanding, watch that word, demanding to understand why the customer did that. Why did you fail us? No, it won't be B. So you're left with C and D. So which one do you review? Do you review the stakeholder engagement plan with team members? Because it said failed a stakeholder engagement survey. Sounds like that's what you should look at. So the answer is C. D says review the resource management plan with stakeholders. It's not that. That is not the plan to review. And that brings us to the end of the 20 questions that we had to review. Thank you very much for joining. Don't forget, hit like, subscribe, come back to the channel so that you can get more videos. We got over 2,000 videos on various project management topics. And if you're looking for that cheat sheet, you're going to find that link below. Download it, use it for your studying. Thank you very much. I wish you all the very best in your prep. Remember, we still have other levels of knowledge that we're going to tackle. We're going to tackle level 3, which is more advanced. We're also going to be tackling Agile. So keep it on your radar, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.